Good evening and welcome to a special NTV show today. A lot of us were saying farewell to Ramadan. You've just seen a farewell video and you may be questioning, thinking, farewell video? We all know what that video was about. Most of us should. If you don't, very disappointed, because it was none other than the farewell to a very special guest today, His Excellency, Mr. Anwar Choudhury. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for.
I mean, it's a great way for us to really commence, because that was your farewell from being the Bangladeshi British, the British ambassador in Bangladesh.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And I mean, the interesting thing, it was such a joyful and such a signature of an exit, so to speak. I shouldn't have used the word exit, but
well, it was a very moving and a sad exit for me personally, because it's difficult to leave Bangladesh without getting misty-eyed, and not just for somebody like me, but any ambassador who served there felt the same way. And that was a very special moment, because all the Bangladeshi folk singers who I love and I've been supporting and we've been enjoying life together in a way, got together from their own resources, their own money, and these are, very famous people, Runa Laila, Kalamia, Yusi. And they just did this show, and people from UK, Mr. Sanumia, Kaya, and everybody just joined in. So it was a fabulous exit after 4 years in serving as the British High Commissioner there. And
I mean, let's not forget, I mean, you're very humble in saying British High Commissioner, but we have to remember that you were the very first non-white sort of first Muslim, first Bangladeshi himself, British ambassador, and so how befitting that they gave you your farewell with I mean, did it come as a surprise to you, or was you aware that it was going to take place?
It was a kind of a surprise until until the planning got in the way, and then I got to know about it anyway. But what was a surprise was people flying in from UK just for one night for that show. Wow. That's something. So that was a surprise. But that's now, when was that? 2008. Wow. Life really moves fast, and it feels like yesterday sometimes. And you look at that photo and you realize, my God, there's a famous Kareem song where you lose your hair and your teeth start moving and your eyes start go and all the rest of it, and you think of the days that have gone by. And so I look at that video sometimes, as I said somewhere, when I'm feeling, in need of a lift, and you take yourself back and remind yourself of the times that you had, and I'm very privileged to have had.
Oh, and no doubt that video sort of showed it all as well. Yeah. And it was interesting because, I mean, from there, it wasn't as though you went quiet. It wasn't like a proper, the curtains dropped, because you continued on.
Yes. Well, I came back and I was director for the United Nations here in the Foreign Office, United Nations, Commonwealth, and all the international organizations. So I spent 5 years here in the Foreign Office headquarters, and then I also did director for Diplomatic Excellence, where we're trying to make the British Foreign Service the best in the world. Before I went on to Ambassador Peru.
I have to stop you, because you say it so humbly, but I wish to just reiterate all of that too, and to everybody just watching. I mean, most people that are watching, obviously, with the community itself, I mean, the country itself knows you well enough, and the work that you did in the Foreign Office. I mean, you're being the responsible of the UN. I mean, I mean, we can't talk about that lightly, because that was huge.
In the UN, we have the policy director here in the Foreign Office. That was my role, and we obviously have our ambassador to the UN, who is in New York, and we have 2 ambassadors to the UN. One is in New York, who looks after Security Council and all the other matters there, and one in Geneva. But the policy, of course, is handled from London. That was a crazy job in a way, because I spent most of my time on a plane, running around the country, and so it's one of those privileged jobs you get, and you get to see so many countries and people and organizations, and how complicated it is to get something together at the world level. It's the simplest things, like just providing education or water or trying to bring about a resolution of a conflict, when you try to do that at the global level, or you take any problem, climate change, whatever it is, and you try to make an inch of progress at the global level, it becomes really hard.
Well,
so it's quite humbling to work in that sphere and realize how tough it is.
I mean, there's no doubt. Even that inch, I can only imagine the amount of mental strain and physical strain. Let's not take away the running around that you've done for that.
Well, I'm not sure about mental strain because I really am not that deep. I find myself laughing at most things and seeing just how futile sometimes our efforts are, no matter, and how futile our jobs are sometimes, no matter what we think we're doing, and you realize that the capacity of a human being to move something is limited. But what is really enjoyable is just being there and getting to meet all these amazing people who are trying to do something similar. And sometimes if you get lucky, you move a bit.
Well, and to think that it all started from Rochdale.
Started in Rochdale, yeah. No, I'm a northerner. Yes, it's a lovely town. I've been there since. When did I go? I went back about 7-8 years ago, and they took me to the school I went to and the house I lived in. That was lovely, and the people of the north. I don't know if you lived there. They're different. They are in ways people who are quite open-hearted. It takes a bit of time, but once you connect, you're in, and you're in a heavy way. So I've always had fond memories of Manchester and Rochdale and Yorkshire and so on. And I go up there when I can. And in Scotland, indeed, it's another place I like visiting.
I mean, just talking with you, and I mean, we've seen you years now, all of us watching you on television talking, and it's so interesting that's your origin story, and yet your accent is so London. It's London, obviously, I
spent a lot of my time here, so I would expect it to be.
And there must have been like a forced change. So going back as well, we Londoners mock it that going up there we need an interpreter with us, but it's interesting.
Well, it depends how north you go. I mean, you might need one in Glasgow, but or maybe not. I mean, I actually have a connection with Scotland, which we might go into at some stage. But these soft northern accents are so pleasant to listen to. I rather like it, and I don't know if I picked it up properly, but I lost it somewhere. I lost the northern accent somewhere in my life. Maybe when I was, about 20ish, I realized my accent had changed. So we end up with this universal sort of from nowhere accent.
Yeah. I actually just realised I completely went past it, but we should also remember that I mean, after your time in Bangladesh, another one of your responsibilities was the human rights and democracy.
Yes, well, that was part of the Director International job. So there was one of my departments was responsible for British human rights policy and democracy policy as well. So the Human Rights Council, in Geneva, and also our policy development. It's a very important area for us, of course. It's part of our core values to promote that. So that was.
And I mean, I've deliberately said today I don't want to talk about any of the local politics or the national politics that happen.
Right.
But obviously,
well, I'm not a politician.
Yeah, I know, and that's a good thing to hear. Actually.
Yeah, right.
Well, good thing to know. We should all know. And it's interesting because obviously some of the Remainers were looking at the human rights and wondering, well, were they going to be dropped off? But I mean,
I very much doubt it. Yeah. Britain stands for fairness, and throughout our history, we have been the first to promote. Human rights right across the world. We are a strong believer in this, and for democracy too. So I doubt there will be any weakening of that.
Well, life goes on.
Yeah.
And 2014 was a big move for you.
Yes, it's a big move a long move, thousands of miles away towards west. I think somebody told me the furthest distance you can get from Dhaka as an ambassador is probably where I am in Lima. So if you go around, that's the furthest distance around the world. So I wanted to, if you look at my career, I like to do things different, you know, move on, always try and something different. So getting posting to South America was geographically the furthest away I could get. But actually, you know, the people of Peru are not dissimilar to Bangladeshi people in that sense. So I found another country where it's just been an honor to serve.
I mean, before we go into sort of the country, and no doubt we're going to be sharing quite a few images on Peru, because there's so much to share, and you know, it's taken me by storm, and I'm sure you're all going to enjoy that with me as well. But just the country of Peru itself, because I think that's probably what I'd like to do now, is draw the similarities, because I mean, climate-wise, we first look at it, yeah, they're both tropical countries.
Yes.
But I mean, what other sort of similarities can you give with Bangladesh and Peru, and also then show the link of UK as well with that?
Well, first thing to realize about Peru is that it's a huge country. This is where it's not similar to Bangladesh in terms of size. So Peru is the size of France, Portugal, Spain added together. So it's a huge country of diversity in terms of the geology there. But the people are quite similar, and that, you know, the food. Peru has fantastic food, world-renowned food, like the Bangladeshis, and people have big hearts in Peru. So you know, they can be quite emotional at times, but they're very loving, engaging. If you're open to the Peruvian people, they double it. You know, wow. So you get a connection. And that's what I found fascinating, that there's so many similarities, very family orientated, some are quite religious. There is a kind of an elite in Lima, which is not very different from the elite you find in Dhaka. Lots of ways of thinking similar. Of course, it's a developing country, although Peru is now a middle income country, and it's come up fast. And one of the inspiring things is to see a country like that. In 15 years, they've gone from developing to middle income, and they're on the rise.
We're going to go for a quick break.
Sure.
We're going to go for a quick break. Don't go away. As you know, I've got a very special guest, and there's so much more we need to talk about. I've got so many more questions. So we'll be gone for a few minutes. I'll see you very shortly.